Hi. I wasn't planning on making a video this time of night. It's 11:39 p.m. my time, but I wanted to do something a little different than I normally do because I usually rant and rave about the problems that Seattle is having. And this is dealing with Seattle, and it also deals with Frasier Crane TV Show. I just finished watching a movie, Sleepless in Seattle, with Tom Hanks, who is probably one of my favorite modern actors, much so in his later years. I didn't really care for a lot of his early stuff, like Joe versus the Volcano and movies like that. But Sleepless in Seattle, which I hadn't seen in a very, very long time. The last time I saw that movie was when it came out in '93. I saw it at the theater. As a matter of fact, I saw it in Seattle, but I didn't really give it that much thought. It's weird that Sleepless in Seattle came out in '93 and the Frasier Crane TV Show came out in '94. Now, I'm going to tell you how Sleepless in Seattle and the Frasier Crane TV Show are connected. I like to call this segment the Sleepless in Seattle Frasier Crane Connection. It took me all of a couple of seconds to come up with that. The reason I say that there's a connection there is because several actors that were in the movie Sleepless in Seattle ended up on the Frasier Crane TV Show. Not only did some of the actors that were in the movie Sleepless in Seattle end up on the Frasier Crane TV Show, an awful lot of the Sleepless in Seattle movie ended up in the Frasier Crane TV Show. David Hyde Pierce, who plays Frasier Crane's brother, has allergies. Allergic to everything, strawberries, nuts, all of that stuff. Wheat germ. Well, guess what? In the movie Sleepless in Seattle, Bill Pullman, who plays Walter, who Meg Ryan is supposed to marry, has allergies. Allergic to everything. Eats a strawberry and his head explodes. Wheat germ, his hands blow up. Nuts. Scratches like crazy. And in the movie Sleepless in Seattle, I'm gathering that David Hyde Pierce plays a therapist because, and the reason I say this is because in the movie he married his wife because he felt like he had no choice but to marry her. It was a marriage of convenience, so to speak. And also he gives counsel to Meg Ryan, who plays Annie Reed. Now, there's other connections as well. Frasier was dating this woman that he fell in love with, who happened to work at, I believe, the Cigar Vallone, a restaurant that Frasier frequented. And her mother happened to be, well, she was Jewish, and her mother was Jewish. But the girl that Frasier was dating, her mother was in the movie. Was in the movie Sleepless in Seattle, and she was Dana Ivey, who played Claire, But in the Frasier Crane TV show, she played Frasier's girlfriend's mother, who was told that Frasier's family was Jewish. Another person that ended up in the Frasier Crane TV show was Tom McGowan, who played Keith. He was the guy that was working with Meg Ryan's character, but later became station manager of KCAL in Seattle that was over Frasier. Now, in the movie Sleepless in Seattle, Tom Hanks' character, his son, calls in a talk show radio host, calls in to this radio host, who is not very unlike Frasier Crane. And it just so happens that she says to the caller, "Hello, you're on the air. I'm listening." And Frasier Crane happened to use that exact same phrase. So, let's see what else is there connections of. Oh, yes. Just like in Frasier, when Niles comes in and meets Daphne for the very first time, it's like he knew. He just knew that that was who he wanted to be with. He just knew it. As soon as he saw her, he didn't know her name, really. He never knew anything about her. He just, sparks flew. And in Sleepless in Seattle, they're at the airport, and Meg Ryan comes in to Seattle at the airport, and as she's walking by, she stops and she looks around, and Tom Hanks sees her. And in that split second, he just knew that was her. That was the woman for him. But he tried to go on with his life, and he tried to date other people, but deep down, it was Annie Reed that he wanted to be with. Now, not only is there similarities in the Sleepless in Seattle movie and the Frasier Crane TV show, it's almost as if the Sleepless in Seattle movie, which came out a year before Frasier Crane did, it's almost as if they were mirroring or mirror imaging the movie in the Frasier Crane TV show. Because Frasier he was in Boston, and he had a great big huge traumatic thing happen in his life, and he ended up moving from where he was at, from Chicago. He went moving all the way to Seattle to get away from his problems. Frasier Crane moved from Boston all the way to Seattle to get away from his problems. And guess what? In the movie Sleepless in Seattle, Tom Hanks, his wife, passed away in Chicago, and he moved all the way to Seattle to get distance in between him, hoping that it would allow him to have closure and to heal after his wife had passed away. Another thing is that a gentleman had passed away on the Frasier Crane show who had a butler, and Frasier happened to hire that butler for just a few days. And that butler happened to be Victor Gaber, Garber. I'm bad with pronouncing some names. He played Greg in this movie, who happened to be married to bear with me. I should know this. We happen to be married to Rita Wilson. And in the movie Victor Gabor is married to Rita Wilson. Victor Gaber is married to Rita Wilson. And guess what? Rita Wilson is married to Tom Hanks in real life. Yes, he is. Also, there's several other people that were in this movie that ended up being on the Frasier Crane TV show. Which there's way too many to there's way too many people to bring together into this. But another one that was on the Frasier Crane show, which was actually in Sleepless in Seattle, was John Boylan. He was the elevator man in Sleepless in Seattle, but in the Frasier Crane TV show, he played a gentleman that was in the hospital on the Frasier Crane TV show that worked at KCAL, and he was the elevator man for KCAL, the doorman, elevator man. So, I don't know this to be a fact, but I am under the impression that the creators of Seattle lifted a whole bunch of stuff from the Sleepless in Seattle movie. Now, I don't know if anybody has seen Sleepless in Seattle, and if you haven't, or if you have, it's probably been a good while, but if you get a chance to watch Sleepless in Seattle, pay very close attention. If this is for the people that like the Frasier Crane Show. If you like the Frasier Crane Show an awful lot, and I do, because I love Seattle, so I love everything connected to Seattle. The Frasier Crane TV show, if you like that show, you will notice similarities between Sleepless in Seattle and Frasier Crane, other than the fact that it just has Seattle in the name. Frasier Crane is based in Seattle. Sleepless in Seattle is based in Seattle, but there's several characters in the movie that ended up in the TV series. So I was just reminiscing about Seattle, and I felt kind of lonely, and I felt kind of bored, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth in on this. This is going to be a real short video because I basically just wanted to mention that while it was fresh in my mind. So anyway, that's my Sleepless in Seattle Frasier Crane connection video. This has been All Things Considered because I consider all things. Have a good night, Seattle, and everybody in America and abroad who happen to be watching this video. Again, this is All Things Considered because I consider all things.